40% of kids can't read and teachers are quitting. This is embarrassing.
A fourth grader asked their teacher, why do I need to learn how to read if AI can read for me?
I asked my teacher that same thing in 1997 because I said a computer will be able to read this in the future. Why the do I need to learn how to read? And they said, shut up and learn how to read.
Right now, 40% of fourth graders can't read. We're witnessing the collapse of the American education system.
I teach 8th grade history, and I have 110-ish students.
8th grade history.
Are reading on grade level.
So out of 100 students, 2 of them know how to read?
18 of them are at a kindergarten level. 55 of those students are between a 2nd and 4th grade level. We were doing guided notes, supposed to be a real easy day. It was review. They wrote down Maryland was founded as a safe haven for Catholics. It was on the board. They wrote it down. And before we moved on, I call on a student and I ask, hey, where were the Catholics one more time? And these students, what they do is they look at me and then they look at their notes and then they look at the board. They look back at their notes. And some of them never answered me.
Just sit there like a bot? Oh my God.
And I kept giving them hints, like rephrasing the question and saying, it's in your notes. We just wrote it down. We just wrote it down. Where are the Catholics? It's on the board. And they never got it. They can't read their own notes.
They're just straight up retarded.
What she described is terrifying. The information goes through their eyes, down through their hands, without passing through their brains. I don't think it's only COVID. But this isn't an isolated incident. This is nationwide. I looked up the actual numbers. Only 23% of fourth graders can read at a proficient level.
23% can read at a proficient level? What?
Then we have the 8th graders. Only 26% are reading proficiently. For all the reforms, adding technology into the classrooms, and debating about funding, we're now at 40%. We didn't get better. We made it worse.
I've been teaching since 1993. And yes, we have always had kids who struggle to focus. But what's happening now is on a whole other level. You remember how it used to feel when the teacher would pull out the cart with the big TV and the VCR attached? Not anymore. Now I've got kids asking to skip it. They literally can't just sit and watch.
I'm a 90s.
They can't watch movies. Oh my God.
Kid, so I know exactly what she's talking about. When that rinky-dink TV rolled into the classroom, that was the best day ever.
Absolutely.
But today's kids are overstimulated. TV is not cutting it. When we were growing up, they said we watched too many cartoons. Now kids don't even want cartoons. Kids today are growing up watching Cocomelon and YouTube Shorts, content that's meant to hold attention for seconds at a time. And now we're asking them to sit in a class for hours with no screens and no stimulation.
Teaching kids isn't the same anymore. I got to keep the kids constantly engaged. Candy isn't even working anymore. Giving out candy for positive reinforcement doesn't even work anymore. They don't care about that.
TVs don't work. Candy isn't working. The only thing that grabs their attention is TikTok memes.
Chimpanzini bananini. Wah, wah, wah. Bananucci, monkey, 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 uchi.
This is dumber than what we got into. This is really stupid.
Or chimpanzini, cocosini. Wah, wah, wah. Boop, boop, bada bim. Coconucci, monkey, 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 uchi.
This is really stupid.
Despite these apps requiring users to be 13, kids are on them way earlier.
They're on them
One
at
study
5.
found that a quarter of kids aged 11 to 15 said they use social media to forget about their problems.
I mean, you're 11 to 15. How many problems do you have? What problems?
Gen Z was the first generation to grow up on social media, and they're the most anxious, most depressed, loneliest generation on record. And now Gen Alpha isn't just growing up on social media, they also have generative AI.
Okay, this is becoming a genuinely concerning issue. As a substitute teacher, I am encountering a really concerning number of students who truly do not see any value in learning because, as one of the 4th and 5th graders that I was teaching the other day asked me, why do I need to know any of this? Computer or AI can do it for me.
We can just take a look at the subreddit Kids Are Stupid to see proof that kids do not think long term. They don't have the mental capacity to fully think through their actions. So how is a teacher supposed to convince a student to learn how to read when that student believes that the AI can just read for them? How do they convince them to learn to write when they can talk to ChatGPT and it'll write for them? Spelling, why bother? Grammar, who cares? History, civics, critical thinking. The AI has all the answers.
What are you doing?
I'm doing school.
Are you doing school on ChatGPT?
Mm-hmm.
You gotta start him out early.
How old are you?
3.
3 years old and he's on ChatGPT doing school. Oh my God. I mean, if I had a kid, I'd get him on the computer as fast as possible because that's the future. That's the world. As a parent, I think your responsibility is to prepare your kid for the world. You can dislike AI all you want, but it still exists.
Why would a child invest in learning when every adult around them is saying that machines will do it better? Students who use AI show weaker reasoning skills. They accept answers without questioning them. Researchers call it cognitive offloading. They develop this pattern of generating first and thinking later, or really generating first and not thinking at all. And the scary part is these studies are showing cognitive decline in adults. If AI is doing this to adults, then what is it doing to a brain that's still forming? Teachers are responding to the overuse of AI by removing Chromebooks and iPads from the classroom.
What a great idea. Let's not prepare kids for the real world, so your inability to adapt with the current times as a teacher is retained. I think that if you can't stimulate and you can't get people to focus on something, at a certain point, it is the teacher's fault. If you're living in a world that is constantly evolving and changing with technology, the solution to that should not be removing the technology.
I want to discuss who's actually incentivized to have AI in the classroom. We already know what social media was designed to do, and we know the future design because Mark Zuckerberg has been quite open about that. He thinks AI can fill the gaps in your friendships. He's exploiting the loneliness caused by his own apps. Then there's Noam Shazir. He's the founder of Character AI. In an interview, Shazir said, "I joke that we're not going to replace Google, we're going to replace your mom." Then there's Sam Altman.
ChatGPT. Young people use it as a therapist, a life coach.
They don't really make life decisions without asking like ChatGPT what they should do. And it has like the full context on every person in their life and what they've talked about.
These CEOs know exactly what they're doing. They're not accidentally replacing critical thinking. They're designing for it. They want users dependent on the chatbot for advice, for decision making. All of this has a societal cost, and we are paying for it. The data shows teacher shortages were being reported on back in 1998. Fast forward to today, and it's 86% of school districts that can't fill their positions. 86% is a collapse, not a shortage.
I talked to somebody who was a teacher semi-recently, and they told me that they had to respond back to the parent complaints and the parent messages within 3 days. So even if it was on like a weekend or something, they still had to be replying back to these messages and talking to these parents. So you have these teachers that like they have to spend their own money on school supplies, number one. Number two, they're massively disrespected by the students. And then the parents blame any shortcoming of the student on the teacher. And all of this is for being paid, I don't know, $45,000 or $55,000 a year. Yeah, of course they're going to quit.
I live like this, so that my students can live like this.
Oh, that's nice. Why do we have this happen? I think this is a really great example of what I'm talking about. She should be getting the money that we're funneling to these Somalian scammers. All of these parasite immigrant scammers, ship them back to whatever shithole they came from, and then give these people the money to educate our kids. What are we doing? Really?
So how can I afford to do this on a teacher's salary? The answer is I can't.
Yep.
I'm living paycheck to paycheck. I am beyond broke.
Teachers who are willing to live paycheck to paycheck to nurture the next generation. A survey found nearly 97% of teachers use their own money to buy classrooms. Teachers earning between $35,000 to $50,000 are spending $700 out of pocket each school year for kids to have pencils. But who truly benefits from a population that can't read, can't write, can't think critically, and ask questions? These same tech companies creating these problems are selling the solution. The same government that claims prosperity is defunding schools, at the same time using our tax dollars to build yet another AI data center.
What every educator in the field is noticing is a dramatic decline in basic critical reasoning skills and basic literacy skills among students.
That's right.
This is particularly pronounced among high school age students, where they're engaging with more complex material and can't grasp basic concepts or manage basic memory about those concepts. And what this is creating is a generation entering the workforce without basic comprehension skills that is going to make it very hard for them to keep and maintain any form of employment. On the inverse, we're seeing kids in more affluent families being not only pulled out of the public school system and sent to things like Montessori schools, but being pulled away from technology until they're a teenager. No tablets, no phones, things like that. And what they're doing to fill their time instead is the normal childhood stuff of playing outside, reading a book, all of these things that seem like play but are actually building soft skills that make someone much better able to navigate the world around them as they get older. The gap is not going to be who can use AI and who cannot. The gap is going to be who can reason in a basic way and who cannot. And those that cannot will probably be left behind.
I'll link you guys the video. There it is. So I do think it's very, very funny that at the very end of the video, the only guy that I think really had a firm grasp on this is the exact kind of guy that I think needs to be involved in schools. America will have this problem until people are willing to accept that all students will not get the same outcome. You can't expect every student to be able to understand algebra. You can't expect every student to be able to understand a lot of abstract concepts because some people are just stupid. So whenever you tailor an education system around trying to protect dumb people from the consequences of their own behavior, you just basically have a really stupid education system. How are your grades in high school? Well, I didn't really ever do anything in high school. Like the standardized tests, I always got like really good grades. My GPA was very low because I just didn't do anything.